Hello everybody and welcome to this first episode of Plants vs Zombies. It's a bit of a different sort of game, and I told you it would be a different sort of game. I told you at the end of the Spyro series, and I did a little bit of like a discussion in my Discord channel. Links down below in the description if you want to join there and have input on these kinds of things and just hang out. And I also asked for it in one of the more recently uploaded Spyro videos, and nobody has commented on that video, but in the Discord, people definitely were pro Plants vs Zombies, and I personally do agree. So let's start the adventure. Plants vs Zombies, I think everybody knows, is a tower defense game based on Plants versus, you wouldn't guess it, zombies. And I think this is a game which you can see what like some of the later levels look like here. I think this game really works well for a little bit of like a shorter episode-based series. And this first episode is only going to be, I think, probably the tutorial section, because we learn how to put down a pea shooter and then to collect sun and nothing else, really. And we put down another one, and we only have one lane at this moment. And the interesting thing about this game as a tower defense game is that usually tower defense games have a path, and you put your towers along that path. This is something else. This is 5 lanes, and zombies walk one lane or another. And you need to fortify all the different lanes kind of equally, because zombies can show up on any lane. And I just got a text in the middle of recording. One which I actually had to respond to, because I was talking to somebody before I just rudely decided to start recording this episode. Probably should have waited a little bit and like ended the conversation, but that would be too useful. So we just got sunflower, which is going to be one of the most necessary plants of all time. So I usually would start with a sunflower, because sunflowers give you extra sun, and obviously sun is the currency you need to place these pea shooters. So as you can see, they give you another 25. I wouldn't usually go with 2 sunflowers before a pea shooter, but this tutorial keeps the zombies away for a little bit longer so that you can actually do that, and plant down 3 of them. Always, I repeat, always put your sunflowers down in the very last lane, because when zombies reach one of your plants, they start eating the plants, and it slows them down a little bit, and everything behind it gets a chance to attack the zombie that is eating a plant. Obviously, you don't want your sunflowers to be eaten, because they are the thing that give you extra currency. So you want them to be there until the very end. If your sunflower gets eaten, you're just screwed. But you would be anyway, right? If you place a sunflower here and it dies, there's nothing you can do about it either, because you're going to need the sun for planting some more. Let's just place that one here. Planting more plants. And one thing which we won't see in this episode, I don't think, but will be a thing later on, is these lawnmowers. See, if a zombie reaches the end of any given lane, or should I say lawn, he triggers a lawnmower which then clears the entire lane. So if it's a very busy lane, it can be semi-beneficial to let a zombie reach the final stage if need be. Thing is, you do get some extra currency, not sun, but different currency like coins, for every lawnmower that still is standing at the end of every level. So you do still want to keep them safe. Nothing bad happens the first time a zombie reaches the end of a lane, because it triggers the lawnmower. If it reaches the end of the same lane again, so let's say it's this middle one, is my cursor being recorded? It's actually not. Let's fix that real quickly, because usually I wouldn't want that, but now I do. So let's say we're talking about this lane, this lawnmower. If a second zombie reaches the end of the middle lane, in that case, you'll lose. So it's a little bit of a cherry bombs. Very useful, by the way. Only for panic situations. Okay, so this is the first time we're actually going to see multiple different kinds of zombies. Because we had some with the traffic cones on the head, and those ones are a little bit more resilient, because you're gonna first remove the traffic cone from the head before you can actually start damaging the zombie itself. And there's going to be a huge amount of zombies. Some are actually like a pain to deal with, some you can only deal with using certain types of plants, like some of them are very weak against fire, and there are certain plants that fire flame. Fire flame, yeah. And some of them, for instance, don't deal well with explosions whatsoever. So obviously you want to use these cherry bombs for those, or other kinds of plants which we'll get to later. I think I've explained the basic premise of this game fairly well so far, and I think after this level we'll actually start getting... as you can see, I placed a second sunflower down, but I don't have anything in the middle lane right here. But the second sunflower did give me the sun I needed to place down the last pea shooter I needed for the time being. So that's going to be very good for me. I think after this level we're going to get these two last lanes, and that's going to make things significantly more difficult. Because obviously every lane you add is going to exponentially increase the difficulty, and you're never going to have more than 5 lanes, I don't think, even in the later worlds. This is the front lawn, then you go to the night version of the front lawn, then you go to the back lawn, and then you go to the night version of that, then you go to the roof, and then you go to the night version of the roof. I think that's all 6 worlds. And they all have something special. Because sunflowers don't work during the night, for instance. Obviously, they're sunflowers, not moonflowers. And you have different solutions for that during the nighttime, but we'll get to that when we get to that. The backyard, which we just saw in the intro of the game, does have a little bit of water, where you can't normally place plants. There's certain water plants which you can place there, and that's going to help out quite a lot. But there's also lily pads, which then allow you to place plants on the water where you usually couldn't place them. We'll get to that when we get to that. That probably will be an episode or two before we can actually get to that, because, again, probably only the next level where we get the extra lawns here, we'll be able to play this episode, and the next episode we'll do probably a fair amount of the rest of this world. And then we get to the nighttime version of this this level, which it'll be quite a while before we get to the backyard, because these videos will be shorter than you'd be used to from me, because you're probably used to having videos that are roughly about half an hour long, and these videos I'm going to say are going to be at least 15 minutes long per episode. This one also very good for panic, but also just generally good for strategizing. It's a wall. It's a walnut. It's not a walnut there, so it's a bit of... I don't know. Yeah, we do get the remaining lanes right now. So let's start with a sunflower real quickly and hope that we don't screw things up. That always is nice if you don't screw things up. It's very stressful. This first part of the game is always very stressful, seeing if you can get enough sun. Wait a second, do you not get any zombies? Okay, I want to test a theory. I want to test a theory in the next level. You might not get any zombies until you have enough to buy a pea shooter. So if you just place an entire lane here, or an entire row of sunflowers before you ever get to 100. Does that mean you're just going to be overpowered? Because if that's the case, I've been playing this game wrong for my entire frickin' life. But that might be the case. It seems like that could potentially be the case. As you can see, these sunflowers really do help. I'm getting a lot, and I mean a lot, of sun right now. And when these pop off, let's just not add one of these yet, because exactly that's why. But we can do it anyway, because we got 150 sun just now. And just like that, we get another 50. This might be a little problematic. I think one pea shooter is enough to deal with one traffic cone zombie. But I'm not taking any chances today. Yeah, definitely that wouldn't have been enough. Right? That definitely would not have been enough. Because, yeah... while a plant is being eaten, by the way, it still can fire. It only stops firing once it's been completely eaten away. So, can I please have a little bit of sun? Thank you. I've got a basic line of defense. As I told you before, more lanes makes it exponentially more difficult, since you do also get more sun, because you pretty much place 2 extra sunflowers. So to a certain extent you do get more sun, but not proportional to the amount of sun you need. At least in my experience you do. So right now I'm just saving my sun to see where the next pea shooter is needed most, because they also do have a cooldown on placing. It's not just the currency. There is a little bit of recharging time in between being able to place these things down, which means that sometimes it's smart to just wait for a little moment. And sometimes it's also smart to place a pea shooter down in a lane where a zombie already is, rather than a lane that's entirely empty. So let's put a walnut down just to show you what it does, because a walnut's only real purpose in life is to be eaten. You place it down somewhere and zombies try to eat it, but it takes freaking forever for them to actually eat it. And let's actually show you the cherry bomb as well, because I think, yeah, this will probably get a fair amount of them. It explodes a zombie with all the zombies within a 1 block radius. So if I place it here, all the zombies in this entire area will get exploded. Which can be useful if you're getting overwhelmed and you're like, oh, there's a lot of zombies on the bottom half, and you just place one down right here and you get rid of pretty much all the zombies. I think there might be... Oh, the shovel. I didn't even notice that I didn't have it. The shovel lets you remove plants. I never really use it because usually you know what you want to do with planting plants. Also, there's this our neighbor, Crazy Dave, I think it's called. And this is our first mini game, which is probably a good way to end off this episode after this. So what you do here is you get a lot of walnuts, and there's also exploding walnuts, which we'll get to in a moment. And you just place them down and you play bowling with them. That's pretty much everything there is to it. But as you can see, they do bounce off zombies, the walnuts. So sometimes you need to be a little bit smart about, okay, I'm going to hit that one and I'm going to bounce and hit that other one. And maybe you can get a combo with like 2 or 3 hits at once. Just like that. Why did it combo before? Because they all should walk at pretty much the same speed, I think. Okay, so this is a good opportunity to use one of those exploding walnuts, because it does the same as a cherry bomb, but in a bowling ball fashion. Let's use it on this one. Ah, that was just too far away. That's too bad. As you can see, this is not a very difficult version of the minigame. All the minigames you get to play do become available in the main menu with like higher and more difficult levels. And it actually does get fairly difficult. There might also be minigames which you don't play in the main story. I frankly don't know. I think you play every single minigame there is in the main story. But as you can see, I'm not even really paying attention. And I'm taking care of this somewhat easily. And I even have some things that I don't need to use right away, like that bomb thing. Okay, I'm definitely going to use a bomb here though, because that is just satisfying to do. That is just satisfying to do. And as I said, easy as that. We get 2 explodey ones, even though it really doesn't matter. And that gives us the landmines, which is a plant I never really use, but it's a potato mine. It's literally what you think it is. You place it, and once a zombie walks over it, it explodes. The thing is, these fuckers. Okay, I'll do this one more level. I'll do this one more level, just because I want to show you those guys. And I'm also going to actually test a theory about needing 100 sun. No, that is not correct whatsoever. So don't do that. Don't place down, actually, it's not that bad if you place down 2 sunflowers. Don't go for 3. But just 2 sunflowers actually maybe isn't the worst idea ever. Because it does kickstart your sun production early on. Even though I am also a little bit behind, but I think I should catch up with the zombies spawning fairly quickly because I do have my 2nd sunflower. And then I'll be able to plant yet another sunflower. And I think maybe that is a good strategy. It might be a little bit more risky, but I think it might be a good strategy nonetheless. Because I wouldn't have had an opportunity. Let's place a 3rd one. I think I've got time for a 3rd one. Because if all 3 of these give me sun right now, that's potentially not good. That's potentially very not good because there's a traffic cone boy. But yeah, there's one of them with a with like one of them big jumping sticks. Those can actually jump over plants. That's only going to matter if you have plants that can be jumped over, and he's probably going to die before he actually gets to this lane. But I'm going to place a walnut, which he can jump over, nonetheless. Just so that he loses his jump ability, because he can only do it once. He loses the stick once he has jumped once. I just don't know what lane he'll be in, so I'll need to keep 50 sun in the bank at all times, pretty much here. Okay, so the potato mine won't work against him, but this thing will at least get rid of him. And that also makes him walk a lot slower. So you do want to get rid of him being able to run as quickly as humanly possible. Because if he runs, obviously he's going to get to your plants quicker, which means that he's going to destroy them quicker, which you don't want. So I think that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about him. And that was the only real challenge, because I think there's only one of them in this level. There's going to be more fairly soon. But for right now, it was only one of them. That is something that this game does fairly well, in my opinion. This game introduces a lot of like new mechanics, but it only does it one at a time. It gives you one of the new dudes, and then when you've gotten used to it, it'll start throwing more at you. And then when you've gotten used to dealing with it as like something usual, it'll throw the next gimmick at you. And there's going to be a lot of gimmicks, because different areas have different zombies with different abilities and also require different plants to deal with them. As you can see, it takes a long time for the walnut to be eaten. Okay, so there might actually be another one of those jumpy dudes in this final wave, now that I think about it. That would make a lot of sense. And there is. So let's place a walnut there, and let's place, I don't know, a cherry bomb. That was the easiest final wave in the universe. These are some of my favorite plants in the game, but we'll get to it next episode. I'm going to collect it now, and after that I'm going to thank you guys so much for watching this first episode of the Plants vs Zombies Let's Play series. In the next episode we're going to explain what the snow pea does. It's again one of my favorite plants of all time. Until next time, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you've enjoyed this video, which hopefully you have. You can join the community Discord to keep up to date with new uploads and get your opinion out there when I am thinking about what I should do for a series. I'll see you back next time. Bye.